Manager Alex. Now, on this video, I want to talk to you about growing old. Have you ever actually talked about growing old? What is your mindset about growing old? Now, understand this. Every decision we are taking right now, uh, good or bad, we are going to, uh, the consequences is going to be more severe at our old age. Now, one of the greatest fear of old age is loneliness. The greatest fear of old age is loneliness. And many of us actually we are setting up ourselves towards that end of putting ourselves in a position where we will find ourselves in isolation with nobody around us. Now, please, before you continue watching this video, please, I want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just subscribe and press the bell button for notification on every video that is going to be posted on this platform. Please subscribe. Now, many of us actually have not taken a deeper thought on how our old age is going to be like. Then we live our life for the now. We have not given it a thought. And I have observed people in the old age, how loneliness becomes so loud in their life surround them. It's like some people troll in the bottomless pit, and they try to grapple with the loneliness at their old age, and they can't fathom how to get out of it. And there are a lot of diseases that are associated, not just the old age. Old age have their own diseases, but when that couples with loneliness, it becomes more severe. And and I look at how we are making every decision we are making right now, and I wonder, have we actually ever talked about when we get to that place when we have nobody around us? Now, let me say this. When God created man and woman, God didn't make any mistake. He knew what he was doing. Why? Because he looked at this man's old age. He looks at this woman's old age. That at that time, you are going to need each other to navigate through that dark, lonely path before you exit this world. Old age could be so dark and lonely that both of you need each other. The man and the woman need each other for them to navigate through that lonely path, through that path, until they finally exit this mother earth. Now, we are playing with those tools that God gave to us to navigate through that lonely life. Now, let's get it clearly. Let's get it factly. Let's get it rightly. Old age is what every one of us, except untimely death, happens. Old age is what every one of us we experience and must experience. You can't dodge it, you can't shy away from it. So, what you can do about it is to prepare yourself for that particular lonely time when you will be in that space that you will have people around you. Now, I talked about God creating man and woman and why God created both of them. God created both of them for them to grow old, and they die. And they came to ask Jesus, and Jesus said, in the beginning, it was not so that a man should divorce his wife or a wife should divorce his wife. It was because of the hardness of your heart that God made, that Moses, not God, that Moses gave that divorcement letter. What was God doing? Because the effect of divorce actually showed at old age. The effect of divorce actually shows at old age greatly and largely. Many women are living a very lonely life right now because there is nobody beside them. Now, I'm going to get to that. Okay, I'm going to get to that. Now, let's look at the way there's a difference between man and a woman. Decade of Heavy Aging did a research on how the differences between loneliness at old age between the man and the woman, between the male and the female. And this was their findings. Let me quickly read it out to you in my system. Okay, let me read it out. It said a recent review of about 575 studies on gender differences in loneliness indicate similar levels in male and female across the lifespan. Male were slightly more lonely in childhood. That means male were more lonely in childhood because women have all the attention in the childhood. As an adolescent, as a young adult, even when you are married, they have more attention more than male. Male live in a more lonely life when they come when during their adolescent and a young childhood, young adulthood. But when it becomes now, there's a flip when people get older. When people begin to grow older, there is a flip. Now, loneliness among older women is a concern as life changes, such as widowhood and relocation, which are associated with greater vulnerability to social isolation. Loneliness affect women more than men. You can look for it and read it. Decade of Healthy Aging. You can read their research and get a proper understanding. I wouldn't have all the time. So what were they saying? There is always a flip to the other side. Now, let me talk to the gender women who thinks that, you see, when you are young right now, many of you have left your marriages, maybe because of domestic violence. Yes, I agree. I don't encourage you to stay in a violent environment. But that having said, I don't. If not for that, you will live in your marriage. Many of you say, "Oh, I am living my life for my children. When my children they are my joy, they are my deeds. Let me tell you something. They are not going to stay with you at the old age. They have their own life. Yes, they acknowledge your contribution to their life. They acknowledge your sacrifices. They acknowledge how you stood by them, what you've done for them. They are going to take care of you from a distance. They are not going to stay with you. Now, let me explain to you. Every child has his or her own life to live. God never designed them to take care of you, to stay with you, to nurture you at old age. No, they have their own life to live. Now, the only person that God actually put in your life when both of you are old is your spouse, not your children. Your children have their own. Now, when you have children, once they're in in nursery school, is primary school, is secondary school. Those are not that are not in boarding houses. Um, Once they get to that level of gaining admission into the university, they have moved on with their life. They have moved on with their life. And funny enough, at that time, you begin to think, as a woman, you begin to think that, oh, when they go to the university, they're going to come back. Don't forget it. These children have their own focus, they have their own priority. Like I have said, they acknowledge your sacrifices for them, they acknowledge everything you did for them, but they have their own life, they have their own dreams they pursue, they have their own aspiration, and they have their own ambition, they have their own career to pursue, and they have their own family also to take care of. You see, in all of this, they are going to give you little attention. I'm not talking about them sending you money because there's a point money is not what you need. The big house is not what you need. Living in a big house to you at that time is useless. It's not what you need at that time. What you need is companion. You need companion. You need somebody. It's not that what you need as a woman at that time is not sex. You're not looking for sex because you have outgrown that stage. But you need companion. You need somebody to hold you. You need somebody to touch you. You need somebody to just whenever you're going through some crisis, the person is there. Both of you could laugh together, both of you could quarrel together, both of you could throw shades at each other. It keep your life going, and it actually help you to cope all most of these illnesses that are associated with old age. Now, when you don't have that because you think, I don't need any man in my life, my children are okay for me. When they are gone, you're going to discover that you are actually all by yourself. Then, now, this is the problem at that age as a woman. Now, if you are 50 years old, let's say if you are 50 years old as a woman, trust me, if you are lucky to have a man who is a divorcee or is a widower, fine and good. But majority of men at that age are already married. They are committed to their family. They are committed to their wives. If you are dating one at that time, trust me, he's going to give you part-time dating, not full-time dating. whenever you need them most, because most often time at midnight is when you need companion the most, not even during the day. During the day you have people to interact with, you have phone calls to make and all the rest of the thing, but during that night is actually when you need a companionship, not during the day. So now the man is not going to be there for you because he have his own family to take care of. He have to go back to his home, have to go back to his wife, have to go back to his children, and he doesn't want his children to know he's having an affair outside because he doesn't want to let them down. So now you are left in the cold all by yourself, dry. Now your mind start casting back to the younger age when you make a decision in your life that you don't need a man. Now, don't let anybody deceive you. We all need each other. Man and a woman, God created and made this so. We all need each other. We all need each other to pass through a phase. I'm going to talk about the gender equality later. Okay? So now we begin to look at now let me quickly tell you, most of the diseases that are associated with people who live in isolation, people who are lonely in their old age. Let me read it out to you. The consequences of loneliness at old age. One, we're going to look at mortality and examples of it, and then we look at the health condition. The first one, health condition, we're talking about cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and dementia. These are normally they are old age sickness, but it becomes more severe when you live in an isolation, you live in a lonely life. Then number two, behavioral and metabolic risk factor. We're talking about high cholesterol, low physical activities, poor diet, smoking and alcohol. There is a tendency for you to smoke because you just want to kill loneliness, and take alcohol to actually help you as a medication for loneliness or for overthinking, because at that age you started all the things you did wrong will start flooding back to you. Then intrinsic capacity, cognitive decline, mobility, activity of daily living, then others, suicide, elder abuse, quality of life. Then now we're talking about elder abuse. We have seen that, okay, like the former governor of Edo State, we heard how the mother died and how she was killed by a maid that was designed actually to take care of her, that was supposed to take care of her, killed her. A lot of adults are being abused because there is no body. Then your children are rich, so they hired a maid for you to be taking care of, to be clean the house. That is a story for another day. Okay, elder abuse and quality of life. Then economic cost, healthcare, long-term care. These all and more are their consequences of living a lonely life at old age. Now, if you are listening to me right now, think about that decision you are about to make. Think about that decision you have made. Think about what gives you joy right now. In the next 10, 20 years, it's not going to be there. Just trust me. Think about it. The people you think are making you happy right now, are hyping you for leaving your husband, for leaving your wife. They are not going to be there in the long term. They have their own issues also to deal with. So at the old age, maybe they are lucky enough to have their own partner by their own side, and you, because they clap for you, you throw away things that will help you navigate to that dark moment of your life, what they call old age. Just think about it. Okay, think about it. Please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Okay, because your mindset right now is going to determine what you are going to get at that old age, at that dark, I always call it dark moment. Because when you become, now let me tell you something, at that moment you are at the mercy of every other person. It's like you're like a newborn baby is at the mercy of those that carry him or her. And at that age also you become life is what's called diminished return. You grow and all of a sudden you start diminishing. And that moment, you need people who actually care about you enough. And how they care about you is how you live your life now, how you treat them. Now, let's talk about another thing. When you were young, You treat everybody with every sense of disdain and wickedness was all running in your vein. You treated them as if they were nobody. When you get there, you're going to reap what you sow. Trust me. When you can no longer shout, when you can no longer hit, when you cannot, you are going to reap what you sow. Because you see, it is not because they want to punish you. No, it is because it is just natural. When you have never given affection to other people, naturally there is no connection between you and them. They cannot give affection to you. You might be in the now. I have seen older women who lived a very lonely life. Why? Not because they don't have children, not because they don't have people who to care for them. When they were young, the kind of life they lived, there was no bond, there was no emotional connection, there was no affection. They didn't ever express an affection towards their children. Now they are old, nobody cares about it. They only call them once in a while. Mommy, they recognize you as their mommy, they recognize you as their daddy. Funny enough, there is no an affection to make a child to think, oh, my mom, my dad have not done this, my mom have not done this. Why? Because how you treated them at your own younger age is how it's going to be. No matter how they want to care for you. You see, there is what they call emotional connection between the child and the parents. When that emotional connection is not there, from the childhood down to the adulthood, when you are old, it's just still going to be that disconnection is going to happen. Take note of this. How you take care of your children, how you treat them right now, how you treat your wife, how you treat your husband is going to be what you are going to reap at that old age. Because that dark moment when you become helpless, when you cannot uh, box the door open the way you used to, you cannot, that the energy is no longer there. The energy will no longer be there. You are the mercy of every other body, every person around you. You could be angry, but you can do nothing. You could be, you don't want to be, you can do nothing. You're not like a baby that they need to feed, they need to tell you what to eat, they need to tell you when to eat. You don't have any say. So think about that old age. Your mindset right now will determine what you are going to suffer or what you're going to enjoy. My name is Prince Manager Morales. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and help to share this video to everyone to hear about it out there. Thank you.